My name is Turker Coskun. I'm Senior Director of Products at C3 AI in our Generative AI product group. I will hopefully be joined by my colleague Sohaib Sheikh as well. He's running around with some of our customers. He's doing very important work as well. But today, we're going to cover multiple exciting topics. So I'll kick us off with a brief introduction into the Generative AI for Government Programs application suite. And then we will show you lots of examples of some of our customer work as well as some of our product work. So specifically on the customer front, we will show how one of the largest public school systems, Unified School District in the city of Los Angeles, is using C3 Generative AI to improve parent, teacher, and student experiences. We will then also show how one of the economic development authorities in the state of New Jersey is using C3 Generative AI to accelerate internal work, drive staff productivity, and by making agency-wide knowledge available to across more than 500 internal users. And then lastly, I'll also describe our latest application area in the suite, which is called C3 Generative AI for Constituent Services. It's actually a very exciting project that we've been working with the United States House of Representatives, specifically with the AI task force in the previous Congress, to help improve how they currently process incoming constituent inquiries and use generative AI to expedite that process to make it faster, more accurate, and more personalized. And then at the end, we'll also have a live Q&A, but with that, let's dive in. So today, there are many government programs that are available to citizens, residents, and these are administered by federal, state, and local governments. These include public benefit programs, including things like healthcare programs, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, Children's Health Insurance Program, as well as financial assistance programs, pension programs. But they also include essential government services such as education, infrastructure, transportation, urban planning, zoning, and so on and so on. While government agencies maintain a very robust, comprehensive set of documentation, procedures, processes, and rich systems of record to administer and make these programs available to citizens, it might not be always very easy for an average citizen to find the information, the specific information that they might be looking for. So one such example is Get Covered New Jersey, which is a state-sponsored health insurance marketplace in the state of New Jersey. When I go on the website and ask a simple question, such as, is there financial support to reduce the cost of my health plan, the site provides a long list of website URL links. So in fact, there's more than 7,000 of them. There's no direct response to the question I asked, and the amount of information is overwhelming, as you can see. It's not always the most relevant information, and the user experience is pretty challenging. So it is difficult to find the exact information that I'm looking for on a timely basis, an accurate manner. What C3 Generative AI for Government Programs provides is a library of agentic AI applications tailored for federal, state, and local government agencies to address these challenges, similar challenges. These applications enhance the overall constituent experience and satisfaction, improve the availability, quality, and performance of government services that are offered, and increase the overall staff efficiency and productivity while doing so, across a range of use cases that we're going to explore and discuss in a second. And before I go into the use cases, I really want to take the time and explain how we do that. So the applications, generative AI government applications, are all built and maintained on the C3 Generative AI platform foundation that you've heard in the morning from Tom, Adrian, our customers, and you will continue to hear about C3 Generative AI throughout the conversation, throughout the conference tomorrow as well. And this is a strong foundation, and we have worked hard to make this foundation address the major shortcomings that are available with common generative AI solutions today. What are those shortcomings? You are all familiar with those, right? Hallucination, security vulnerabilities, data leakage issues, poor or subpar accuracy, sometimes IP liability issues. The list goes on and on. So our foundational platform addresses all of these major issues that are available today, and the C3 Generative AI applications can provide deterministic responses, meaning when a user asks the same question twice, they always get the same answer. They don't get a different answer. The system greatly reduces and eliminates hallucinations, and every response insight is traceable all the way down to the enterprise data, the specific data that the insight is coming from. So the user knows where something is coming from, and they are confident that it's not a made-up answer. And sensitive enterprise data, which you're dealing with in your respective domains every day, is greatly protected via robust access controls. So we are able to define who sees what data, and everyone can only see their compartmentalized data sources. And the LLM leakage, the data leakage security vulnerabilities are also greatly reduced and greatly eliminated in most cases. So, and this will be evident again throughout the conversation. You will hear from our customers from deployments across many mission-critical domains that C3 Generative AI has been deployed and hardened over the past number of years. So to give you a little bit of a sense, and we're going to talk about some of these customer use cases, customers across federal, state, and local government agencies are today making use of C3 Generative AI government applications across a wide range of domains and application areas. What are those? For example, with the United States House of Representatives, as I mentioned, we are working on deploying C3 Generative AI to help them process the incoming constituent inquiries much faster, more accurately, and in a more personalized fashion, which, again, we will go into the details of this. The Economic Development Authority in the state of New Jersey is using C3 Generative AI today to accelerate internal work and drive staff productivity by making agency-wide knowledge available to everyone in the agency, and also automating some of the critical content generation workflows. Again, we'll show you some examples of that. And LAUSD, Unified School District in Los Angeles, is using C3 Generative AI to power up a teacher, parent, and student-facing application to enhance the overall experience to access critical information such as curriculums, policies, rules, and other educational information. And there are many other additional examples and use cases. While we are going to show you the 3 examples that I described earlier, the range of use cases, the applicability of the C3 Generative AI for government's technology is very broad. It can be applied and deployed for specific public benefit programs, such as healthcare, financial assistance, social security, veterans, as well as essential government services, urban planning, zoning, building, transportation, education, and many others. And the benefits, the outcomes for public sector customers are substantial and significant of these applications. So across these deployments, C3 Generative AI applications in government can dramatically increase constituent engagement and experiences, help improve the quality and availability of government services that are available to residents, and lower the program costs for these, cost of these programs, administering these programs, and drive internal staff productivity and efficiency while doing that. So in the rest of the presentation, we're going to go into the details of some of this work, but I really encourage you to draw parallels from the examples that we're about to share and see how these can be applied into your individual respective domains, and how you can drive similar outcomes and similar results for your constituents, for your residents, and for your internal staff as well. So with that, I'd like to invite Sohaib Sheikh, who runs our state and local practice at C3 AI, to stage to talk a little bit more about our customer work with LAUSD and New Jersey Employment Development Authority.
Excellent. Thank you, Turker. 1, 2, 3 testing. Are we all ready to go? Excellent. Well, I wanted to take it over from Turker and share some real examples of how several of our customers are deploying generative AI in order to drive efficiency and improve outcomes for many of the residents that they are serving across their jurisdictions. And I want to start with one that hopefully a number of folks in the audience can resonate here with some work we're doing with one of the largest school districts in the country over in Los Angeles. So before I get started, quick show of hands. How many parents do we have in the room? All right, very good. How many of you have ever struggled to ask basic questions like, when does school start? How do I enroll my kid? When is the next minimum day? You know, is my kid allowed to take a cell phone to school, and what those outcomes are? A good number, a good number. So this is exactly the problem that a number of parents and teachers, and in many cases administrators within the LA Unified School District are facing, where if I'm a parent or a teacher and I need to get an answer to one of these basic questions, the current approach is to come to a website that looks pretty close to what I've seen in many organizations, try my best to run a search or ask a question, and when I try to look for something as simple as whether or not my kid can bring a cell phone to their school, I either end up with two modes. One, I don't get anything at all because of the way many of these legacy search engines are architected, or I'm inundated with the plethora of information and websites and source links that may or may not be relevant to the specific information or topic that I'm looking for. So this is often the standard that we see across many of the organizations that we're engaging with. But now with C3 Generative AI, what we're able to do is connect into any source document maintained by the school district and provide an interface where any parent or teacher can come to one-stop shop, ask a question, and immediately get back an answer to any question they might have pertaining to their child in school. This includes information from the LAUSD website, reference guides, handbooks, newsletters, and bulletins that are being put out by the school. All that information is brought together into one unified view for anybody to come in, search, and ask questions, and immediately get concise responses to any piece of information that they're looking for, while at the same time including a number of additional capabilities and guardrails that are highly tailored to an enterprise generative AI use case. This includes the ability to support multiple languages. When we talk about an area like LA, you'll have native Spanish speakers, Chinese, Vietnamese, Tagalog, and other languages. So we've designed the system in such a way where anybody can ask a question in a language and get back an answer in that same language, despite having all source documentation within English. We've architected the system to have a set of guardrails to protect against malicious use, which is incredibly critical in the instance of dealing with children's schools, where, you know, if somebody were to ask a question like, you know, I want to hack the school server, how do I make a bomb, I want to perform this type of malicious activity, the system logs every single question, logs every answer that's generated, and will actually flag malicious questions for administrators to review and monitor to more proactively get insight into how the system is being used across the school, which is pretty critical now just given the state of school safety nowadays. And point number 3 is to design the system in such a way that there is full traceability to source documents and source systems when answers are being asked. Turker talked about this concept of hallucination, which is one of the things you have to be incredibly careful about with these large language models. The system can produce an answer, provide a response, but you have no idea whether or not that response is accurate unless you have full traceability to the source document from where those systems came. So we've worked quite a bit with the LA Unified School District to design this generative AI system to provide parents and teachers and administrators with answers to any questions that they might have, while implementing many of the guardrails that are critical in having a robust and secure and hallucination-free generative AI system. And this is what it looks like. So I, as a parent, can come in and ask a simple question like, what are the types of schools that are available within the LAUSD network? and the system provides me with a pretty comprehensive response. It also provides me with a list of links to various source citations from which the system received that answer. I've got the ability to ask follow-up questions. How are these different? What's the difference between a pilot school and a charter school? And again, the system provides me the exact source links from the documentation from which it came. Can my kid bring his cell phone to school? And the system will pull it up directly from the policy and give you back that AI-based answer. Yes, he can bring it to school, and there are a couple of exceptions you should consider. And if I want to see the actual source, I can click on a single document, and it takes me to the exact source system from which the application retrieved that answer. So we've really designed the system in such a way to be fairly robust, to cater towards different types of questions that are being asked of the system, and at the same time, provide full traceability to any source document from which that answer came, down to the individual page and paragraph level. So if the system surfaces back a document, you click into that link, and it points you into the exact spot in that document where you can see additional information, while also providing the ability to have full feedback into the system as well. So anybody can come up here and thumbs up or thumbs down the system in order to support continuous retraining and tuning of the models on an ongoing basis. So that's a little bit about some of the work we're doing at LAUSD, just to give you an example of how Gen AI is being deployed in actual practice within the public sector. Let me share another example of some work we're doing at the state level within the state of New Jersey, deploying generative AI across a multiple different ways to help drive efficiency in the administration of state government programs. So I wanted to share that as two live examples of some of the power benefits and impact of generative AI that we're seeing across our customers. And again, this is really the point that I want to harp upon, that generative AI has so much more application beyond searching across information and documents. That's one use case, and it is an incredibly powerful application of the technology. But I encourage you all to think a little bit bigger about how you can deploy generative AI to automate mundane, repetitive, and time-consuming tasks within your office. Redaction of documents for the purpose of handling PRA requests, the creation or generation of various types of legal documents within the organization, the reviewing of contracts to ensure that they comply with specific terms and conditions and statute that your state or your local government is held accountable for, and reviewing of documents where you've got individuals that might have to review every single line of an invoice or every single line of a purchase order to make sure that it aligns with your specific policies and procedures. The opportunities are pretty tremendous, and the potential is vast with generative AI and how it's evolved over the past couple of years. So with that, I want to turn it back over to Turker, who will now talk about another example of some work that we're doing in generative AI to improve the way that constituents interact with members of Congress and Senate and other elected officials.
Thank you, Sohaib. Great. Thank you. So this is the last application update that I will deliver, and then we'll open it up for a live Q&A portion of our discussion. But this is a very exciting project that we've been pursuing with the United States House of Representatives and really working with their AI task force to bring generative AI to the individual member offices. The use case that we've been working with them on is constituent services. So for context, congressional members receive large volumes of constituent inquiries coming from their constituents, and you might have actually written to your representative in the past. So maybe show of hands, how many of you have ever written to your representative? That's a great number. So how many of you have received their response within the first 24 hours? 0, as expected. How many within the first week? Great. We've got 1. Has anyone ever not received a response? Me too. I'm still waiting after 3.5 months, so maybe that'll change. So the point is, for some context again, these offices receive a large volume of inquiries that are coming across a wide range of topics. Topics such as legislation-related inquiries, or someone needs support with casework. I haven't received my Social Security payment for the past 2 months, can you help? Or they have simple requests, say I'd like to get a tour of the Capitol building, can you help schedule a tour for me? Or I'd like to get a flag that was flown over the Capitol. The volume of these inquiries can range anywhere from 1,000 a month to 10,000 a month, depending on the office, depending on the time of the year. And that kind of explains why you're not getting a response either ever or in the time that you respond. And you're right in expecting a personalized and timely response, right? You might be asking about, you're probably writing to your representative on a critical issue. You wouldn't otherwise have taken the time to do so. And the office staff in the back end, when you send one of these inquiries, what happens is these are very small offices. They can hire up to 18 people by law, and those 18 people need to do everything, including responding to one of those inquiries that might have come from you. And today they rely on a manual set of processes, tools, and they have to actually, believe it or not, they have to manually write these responses. That's why you're not getting responses on a timely manner. And as a result, there are frequent staff shortages in the offices, and it takes days, weeks, months, sometimes maybe even years to get a response, if you ever get a response. So what do we do in this context? C3 Generative AI for Constituent Services addresses all of those challenges and provides significant improvement across the board in this entire process by, first off, ingesting all of the inquiries that comes into the office and maintaining a system of record there. And then the application immediately retrieves all relevant information that is specific to the inquiry that has come in. So if you're requiring about Social Security payments, it brings information from Social Security website or the amount of information available. If you're asking about a legislation, it pulls information from the legislation database. So it has a wide range of corpus of data available to it to find information and bring it very, very quickly to this specific inquiry that comes in. And then it immediately starts generating a personalized and accurate response to that inquiry to set the stage for an initial draft to be sent out to the constituent. And it does so in the tone, style, as well as the policy positions or political position of the specific congressperson. So that's very powerful. And all of this is human in the loop. This is a workflow-enabled application with approval and review workflows to ensure that nothing is sent out without comprehensive human supervision. So human operators are still in 100% control of everything that is happening. The application helps them do their job faster. So how does that work? In order to get to the level of accuracy and relevance possible, as I mentioned, the application brings together information from a wide range of publicly available data sources. These are public benefit programs, Social Security programs, regulations, legislations, bills, grants and federal funding programs, disaster assistance programs, or any type of publicly available program that constituents might be asking for. So all of this is available in the application. In order to get to the the specific tone of the congressperson, the application then also ingests office-specific, congressperson-specific data, including things such as past press releases, policy documents, past constituent inquiries, any additional sort of like response templates that these offices might have, and also makes all of this available within the application to get to the accuracy, relevancy, and personalization required. Now, we will do a live software demonstration for this. If you want to see it a little bit more clearly, you might want to get closer to the screen. This is a little small. I apologize for that. But before I start with the demonstration, we have configured the application for one office. Representative Bill Foster, who is a representative from Illinois' 11th District. He was the co-chair of the AI task force, and we're working very closely with his office staff on this project. We have loaded all that publicly available data that I have mentioned into this application, regulations, legislation, public benefit programs, grants programs, and whatnot, all of that. We also indexed all of Representative Foster's website data, only publicly available data, to reflect his positions, to reflect his style, his tone in the type of responses. And then on top of that data that we've loaded, we've synthetically generated some constituent inquiries for demonstration purposes, so there's no confidential data in this application. So let's start the demo. As a legislative correspondent, when I log into the application, I immediately see a list of inquiries that came in along with their subjects, topic, receipt channel, status, and so on. So things came across a wide range of topics, right? If you can read it, the topic, there's a military academy nomination one, legislation related on environment, legislation on infrastructure, flag requests, caseworks, and so on and so on. When I open one of these inquiries, I see the original inquiry that came in on the left-hand side. So Emily Rodriguez is asking about information on military academy nomination, key deadlines, the overall process, documentation that is required. I can see all of that, and the application starts to generate a response in real time that is relevant, specific, and very comprehensive to that inquiry that came in from Emily Rodriguez. So if you can't read it, I'll read parts of it for you. Thank you for reaching out regarding nominations to U.S. Service Academies. The deadline for submitting a completed nomination is following. The application period opens on May 15th of each year, and so on. A complete nomination file should include the following, and then it gives a long list. So it's a pretty comprehensive, direct, and a really good draft that answers the question that came in. And you're probably wondering, okay, how was this generated? What did the system do in order to get to this draft, which is a very good draft? The application provides full traceability. As I mentioned, nothing is made up, nothing is hallucinating in this application, and everything goes back to the source documents. So here I can click on one of these banners and I can actually see how this response was generated, which is presenting me with the same response along with source citations on that response, and I can see the source information that went into making this content available to me. And if I scroll down all the way to the bottom, I see a list of sources that were used. So in this specific case, it doesn't have to be like this. Every inquiry is different. It used a past response that came in the past from a different constituent on a similar topic. And it's also using, in this case, it's using actually 2 past responses. So I can actually open these and then see, here it is. This was a closed inquiry with this response. So the system is making use of this past constituent inquiry to create this response. But it can also use information from response templates. The offices have pre-approved issue-specific response templates. It can use information from representatives' own webpage, internal policy documents, any information that is available to the application, basically. So as I mentioned, the application also provides workflows for full human supervision of everything that is happening, including things such as I can review this, I can make direct changes, delete things, remove things, change the structure of this email, or add components to it. But in addition to my direct edits, I also have an AI agent in the application that is context aware and that is specialized for the type of work that I'm doing in the office. So to this AI agent, I can ask questions about the constituent, ask questions about the inquiry, ask more general questions, or I can actually give instructions to it, and it has full context awareness of everything that the user sees. So it knows that this is Emily Rodriguez, it sees the inquiry that came in, it knows the current draft of the response and everything. So in this case, I asked, tell me more about this constituent, and the application retrieves all information on Emily Rodriguez and provides me with a short summary of who this person is, along with some demographic information, issues that they care about, and so on. I can also give it instructions to change the response, shorten the response, make it more formal, make it more friendly, add certain details, remove certain details, or any type of modifications that you would make as part of this process. And the agent is smart enough to distinguish between a question, in which case it provides a response, versus an instruction, in which case it applies the instruction and updates the response. So in this case, it maintained the content and substance of that email and rewrote it in a shorter and more concise manner. When I'm done, I can send this email out to the constituent or request approval. We have approval workflows within the application, and someone with the approval authority will be able to come in, review all of this work, and eventually send this response back to the constituent. So we have a lot more functionality, but for the time being, I will stop with the software demonstration here. So the key point of the application is we're dramatically accelerating and assisting human operators in the way that they do their jobs to achieve faster and more personalized and accurate responses for the constituents that they are serving. This in turn improves the engagement and satisfaction of their constituent bases and also drives staff productivity and efficiency. Before opening it up for Q&A, I really would like to leave you with 3 core elements that set C3 Generative AI apart from every other alternative options that are out there. So what are those things? Number 1, it's the domain specificity of the application. Whether it's for healthcare, education, constituent services for congressional offices, transportation, C3 Generative AI for government programs applications are tailored, configured, and designed for the specific domain that allows them to provide domain-specific subject matter expertise to their users, to the constituents, residents, internal users, and so on. So why does that matter? Accuracy is everything in generative AI systems, right? So in your domains, you can't tolerate hallucinations. You can't tolerate generic responses. You can't work with inaccurate, incomplete, partially accurate information. This has to be extremely accurate. And we're able to achieve that highest levels of accuracy with the domain specificity that we have in our applications, along with the traceability of the insights and the hallucination-free insights, actions, and responses that are available in the applications. And lastly, C3 Generative AI for Government is the only offering out there with a truly enterprise-grade, secure, and future-proof architecture. And there's no better testament to that than all the customers that are using this technology, and you'll hear from them throughout this conference. So today, C3 Generative AI is deployed in the most mission-critical and secure environments, including with the United States Department of Defense, the intelligence community, and other notable customers. And we're able to achieve that through this unique architecture. So that concludes the presentation piece of our session. Any questions from the audience? Yes, ma'am.
On the side, you asked how to provide more information about the constituent, and it came up with all those things. Where did that source information come from? Because it didn't appear in her letter.
Yes. So the application has access to all past constituent inquiries. It uses that to be able to reflect the policy position's tone, as well as to know who this constituent is. In this case, it went back, queried everything that is coming from that constituent, Emily Rodriguez, and that way it was able to provide that summary response.
So if she had never sent anything before, then it would just say...
It would have said, I don't know, this person never contacted us before.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, great question.
No prior whatever. We, as policy, legislative aides, or whatever, we have to review that. We take a look, we say, okay, this is how it's going to affect our constituents in the urban areas, this is how it's going to affect the farmers in the rural, this is how it's going to affect the coal miners and whatever, and then we develop whatever the policy or position is on that particular piece of legislation, which is typically what you get from constituents. Hey, what's your position on this, or how is it going to affect me? And then we, like you said, we manually type it up and then we send it out. So I mean, I guess that's the question. I mean, if there is no data source prior to a bill being introduced in the 118th Congress, where would it? I mean, it's not, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like there is no data source.
Yes, no, that's a great question. I know we're short on time, but answer is approved templates, response templates. So offices work a lot with pre-approved templates, and we're able to make that a data source. And if there's nothing available, the application will do its best to provide a draft response, but eventually the entire reason the system is human in the loop is to allow the human to come in situations like that and give the system the direction it needs. Because if there is no baseline to operate from, that's where the human operator will come in and step in and give that instruction. And it happens around, so out of the 1,000 inquiries that they receive in a month, about 2 or 3% of the inquiries are in that nature. So still, 98% is actually very doable with AI, and you're able to get a really good draft in the first time that you allow the system to generate one. I know we're waiting for another session. Can I answer your question outside?
Oh, yeah, sure. That sounds good.
All right. Thank you all for coming. Great
Thank
to have
you.
you.